Hey everybody, it's Bryan Kemper and welcome to Pro-Life is the New Punk Rock. I am the Director of Youth Outreach at Priests for Life, and our youth outreach is Stand True Pro-Life. Now, this is the first show that I am doing post-Dobbs, post-Roe. Just one of the most amazing days of my life, June 24th. And one of the first people I talked to is actually my guest today. One of my good friends and colleagues, Brandi Swindell of Stanton Health Care International. Brandi,
Hi,
how are we
Kemper.
doing?
Can you believe we've been in the movement all these years together in the trenches, battling, praying, believing, hoping, and here we are in our lifetime. Roe has been overturned. Roe has been dismantled. And it's the first step of many to make abortion unthinkable in our society.
So, Brandi, I'm a little older than you. I turn 55 this month.
Your
But
baby.
I, a lot of people, our parents, our grandparents talked about where were you on D-Day? Where were you when Kennedy was shot?
Yeah.
I remember as a kid where I was when Reagan was shot.
Yeah.
But June 24th, Brandi, can you imagine the stories of where we were the day that Roe versus Wade? I was at the National Right to Life Convention sitting next to Father Frank. We were live broadcasting and we didn't expect the decision that day. Janet was on the screen back in our studio and Father started talking and I looked up and I'm like, we have Dobbs. We have Dobbs. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
We have Dobbs. And I passed him the phone and he read it and confirmed that it had been overturned. And
Yeah.
you should have heard the screams and
Yeah.
cheers at National Right to Life that day,
The
Brandi.
rejoicing, the sound of rejoicing. That literally, that moment, that day should be in the dictionaries as the definition of rejoicing. I think the entirety of the pro-life movement and people of goodwill and the faith community, there was a unified rejoicing that was just tangible and incredible. I was hiking in the Sawtooths in Idaho the day before, and I had gotten a little chatter and a little word that a decision may be coming out. Now, Bryan, as you know, literally every week since the leak was chatter
Yes.
that it would be coming, right? I mean, it was just like everybody thought they had
I
intel.
talked to Mahoney too, but I was still like, I
Right,
don't know.
right. But I thought just in case, because, like I said, I was hiking in the Sawtooths and I thought I'd gotten a little spot of cell service in a little mountain town at the base of the Sawtooths. And I thought, if I'm out of service and this breaks tomorrow, I will never forgive myself for not
Exactly.
being connected with our Stanton team and with all the leaders. If, Bryan, you called me, when that happened, and I was just like, I do not want to miss those phone calls. And if it comes out tomorrow, and also being available for the media, right, to give a
Oh,
well-positioned
absolutely. Yeah.
talking point and reflect our position. So anyway, I hopped in my car. I was supposed to stay another day. I hopped in my car and I drove 3 hours home. And then that next morning, I'm mountain time out here in Idaho. And so I think it was, 8:10 out here in Boise. And I, got the word and my phone started blowing up. And it was like, oh my word, it's real. It is real. And that's what I keep thinking is, I'll be honest, Bryan, I didn't know if we were going to see it in our lifetime. I didn't know. I just thought,
You
what,
know,
we're doing this for our kids and grandkids, right? I don't even have
you
kids. I was doing
remember, you remember that people gave me crap about my shirt. I survived Roe. Roe will
Yep.
not survive me. People were saying, oh, that's just not quite true. And I was adamant that shirt was going to come true. And
One of the,
it did.
yep, you did. You put it in writing on a shirt. And I have to tell you, that's one of the best all-time pro-life t-shirts. I mean, that's like a collector's t-shirt,
And the
which by
back,
the way, Bryan, I'm going to send you a t-shirt. We had Purple Sash Revolution t-shirts made, which is part of our Stanton Health Care International, one of our initiatives, which thank you for having a purple sash in your studio in the background. I love it.
Right
But
here.
on the back, yep, on the back we had hashtag dismantle Roe, and we're like, oh my gosh, our T-shirts are vintage now. They're like collector's items. So isn't that awesome? So, but we're gonna have some of our clients sign the T-shirt and send it to you. So you have a dismantle Roe
Thank you.
signed
Thank
by
you.
women who chose life, and you can add that to your studio collection. One of our vintage collector T-shirts.
The new one, Roe Did Not Survive Me, is coming out very soon. You'll
Excellent.
get one, I promise you.
Can't wait.
So, Brandi, this show, we want to get into a lot of things. Mostly,
Yeah.
I'm going to, the chunk of it is going to be about what pregnancy help centers are doing in a post Roe time, which is really not much different than what they've been doing for decades.
Nothing's
And
changed for
everyone's
us.
lying about it. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing, Brandi. A couple of things I wanted to talk about are some of the new lines being thrown at me on Twitter and everywhere. And you know, one of the things that I will say that I appreciate, because I'm not hardcore right-wing Republican only. Like,
Right.
there are
Neither am I.
things that you and I and Reverend Mahoney have talked a lot about, certain things that we agree
Mhm.
on. And a lot of people on the left are amazing at wanting to do outreach to communities that need help, to people that need help. There's a lot of that is going on. And
Sure.
but one of the first lines that's being thrown at me completely by the left right now is, but abortion doesn't affect you, so who cares? It doesn't affect you, so who cares? And coming from social justice warriors saying, oh, it doesn't affect you, just leave it alone. Like,
Yeah.
that makes my head want to explode.
Right.
How can you talk about things that are going on in the world today? So many things may not directly affect us, but we know are wrong, are evil, and need to be addressed. That
Sure.
line to me is just honestly one of the dumbest
It is.
pro-choice lines I've
There's a
ever heard.
lot of 100%, Brian. There's so many social problems and ills and broken systems that don't directly impact us or impact me. I'm not directly impacted by human trafficking, but oh my gosh, this is an issue we have to deal with.
Absolutely.
Thank God, I've never been a victim of rape. I can still speak out and advocate for those victims and say this is wrong, or child molestation, or homelessness, or poverty. All these ills, and abortion should be included to that. It is an act of violence. It is an act of violence against a preborn child, right? So it's a human rights issue. We're all part of the human family, and we could have been aborted in our mother's womb, whether Roe was in existence or not. We still could have been aborted. So abortion affects every human who, lived in their mother's womb. And it's a women's issue, and everybody should be concerned. This is what's happening. There is a very lazy, self-centered approach that is saying, to fix society's problems. So if there's broken foster care system, or there's socioeconomic problems with women or with women of color, the solution is abortion. That is a violence. And I have to tell you, it's violence against a preborn child. It's a violent act against the woman's body. We know that from post-abortive women bravely coming forward and saying, I had these physical, emotional, and spiritual challenges and problems after my abortion, both short-term and long-term. So we have, these stories of these brave women willing to come forward. But in addition to that, I'm starting to get really irritated, Brian, with some of these talking points that are, how dare you be pro-life when the foster care system is so broken? Okay, so shouldn't we fix the broken system? I agree. There's problems in the foster care system, and there's a lot of kids in that system. But shouldn't we offer hope-filled solutions and fix that broken system instead of throw the violence of abortion at it as the solution, which, by the way, falls on the backs of women and literally falls into their wombs? That's the solution. I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
That's like, I guess, saying, how dare you be worried about world hunger and want to feed people when we haven't fixed the farm subsidies problems that are going on with the government.
Right.
Like,
right. Exactly.
What does that have to do with going out and doing the right thing?
Right. Let's roll up our shirt sleeves. Let's find solutions. Let's fix the broken systems. Let's work with faith leaders, political leaders, people of goodwill, organizations, individuals, all coming together to fix these problems. And I have to tell you, I'm really irritated with some of these radicalized pro-choice lawmakers and members of Congress who are, again, blaming the pro-life movement for society's problems and our pro-life position, when it's like, no, look, members of Congress, you have the power to fix some of these issues and some of these problems in society and some of these broken systems. Why are you blaming the pro-life movement or blaming or demanding that the solution again fall on the backs of women, and that it has to be the abortion on demand to fix all the problems? I mean, it's so anti-woman and so sexist and so lazy and so selfish and so agenda driven that, you know, we've got to get out there and make sure that we are not being intimidated, not being bullied, speaking with compassion, but with firmness. Bryan, you and I talk about that, the importance of a pro-love, pro-compassion response, but that doesn't mean we need to be trampled on. That doesn't need to mean we need to be walked all over. Because you know what? Women and children are relying on us. They are.
That reminded me of that photo of Katie Mahoney getting pretty upset there at the Supreme Court, because she's like the most timid, 100%. Soft-hearted women on the planet.
100%. If you know Katie Mahoney and that image of her that was all over, I think it was like
I looked at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody did something real bad.
Yeah. You know what?
Brandi, the argument of bodily autonomy and bans off our body, I think, one, in the last 2 years have absolutely been obliterated by the left when bodily autonomy doesn't count when it came to vaccinations. Or, you know, a band like Rage Against the Machine, who were supposed anti, you know, government and all that stuff. Then we're like, you are not allowed to come to our concert if you don't have a vaccination. So now that ban is on my body. Like, they are the most hypocritical people on the planet. And it's just mind-boggling. But Brandi, I want to go into Stanton Health Care International. I want to talk about that because several years back, we saw, you know, a real rise in attacks against pregnancy help centers because they do not offer abortion or abortion referrals. Now, one, they're specifically there to help pregnant women be able to carry their baby to term and provide for them, and not just provide for them, but give them the resources, the knowledge, the education they need to continue to be good parents and provide for their children down the road and through life. Yet the abortion industry was so mad that we didn't want to include killing their baby as something we're going to help them do, that they were being called fake and they were threatened to be closed down. It went all the way to the Supreme Court with the NIFLA decision. Now, you happen to have founded, in my opinion, one of the greatest pregnancy help centers, because you're not just a building that gives resources. You're a medical clinic, an actual healthcare clinic with doctors, life-affirming doctors. First of all, let's remind everybody how you founded Stanton, what your vision was, and then we're going to go into all of the things that places like Stanton provide for women.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bryan. And I appreciate just your continued encouragement and support of me personally, and then the vision that I had for Stanton, and really the clinics that we've built. And we are very proud of that, and all glory to God. But, you know, Bryan, I founded Stanton Health Care really with the heart of what kind of clinic would I want to go to? What, you know, if I were in that situation, I'd want to walk into a certain type of clinic that had a certain level of professionalism and quality care and compassion and confidentiality and a vibe or a feeling when you walked in that was comfortable, and it would feel like a place you could trust. So I built a clinic I would want to go to. And in fact, we have added, we'll talk about that more, but we've added other things to where somebody like me, not even facing an unexpected pregnancy, could go and find some support support when it comes to holistic women's health care.
Now, your first one was in a church, correct?
Yeah, my very first one, was in a church. My home church out in Boise, Idaho. They donated some office space to us. And in fact, Bryan, I remember all those years ago, you came with a group of, would it have been Rock for Life kids then, or was
No, that was Stand True.
That was Stand True. Okay,
True, and it was when you guys got your first ultrasound.
Yep, I still have that photo of all of us together. We prayed over that ultrasound, and we have that group photo of you and the Stand True youth, and that was a really great memory. So yeah, that was our foundings. Despise not humble beginnings. We just had a tiny little office at a church, and very quickly got our ultrasound and grew into the medical component and grew out of that office space. And we actually ended up buying a building in Boise right next door to the Planned Parenthood. And I mean, when I say right next door, the property line,
reach out the window
and touch it. And let me tell you, good news, great news. Just this last month, that Planned Parenthood closed down. So
praise God.
Jesus. We shut them down. They have another Planned Parenthood in Meridian, a large one that's been there since, 2014, I believe. We moved in 2018, right across the parking lot. And we have a state-of-the-art, life-affirming women's medical clinic right across the street. And then we have our mobile clinic that goes to all the rural areas, underserved areas. And in fact, thankfully, Idaho is one of 13 states that has a trigger law, a ban on abortion. So we're ready now that Roe's overturned. So that's going to go into effect very soon. And so Planned Parenthood has said that they're going to open, Planned Parenthood of the Greater Northwest is going to open a Planned Parenthood in Ontario, which is right on the border of the Idaho, Oregon, state lines. And so they're going to open a clinic there. So we're just going to take our mobile out there. It's only 45-minute drive.
Did Planned Parenthood ever try to stop you from getting that building?
So we did it just how they operate secretly and have cover groups that purchase their buildings. We had a very reputable real estate firm that did all the negotiations for us. And it wasn't until we were closing that because they would have tried to stop us. They would have filed suit. And once we were open, or actually once we had bought some property right there in Meridian across from them, and we were taking our mobile clinic until our building was done and the remodel was done, we took our mobile clinic out there in front of the property that we owned, and Planned Parenthood filed suit to try and prevent us from having our mobile clinic. And they threatened us with $30,000 in legal fees if we didn't settle. And I told our attorney, I will not pay one penny to Planned Parenthood, and a judge will have to force me to go to jail before I'll ever even consider giving one penny. It's not going to happen. And so the great news is the judge saw right through their lawsuit. He dismissed it, and it was a great victory for us.
I see a t-shirt. Stanton Health Care survived Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood will not survive us.
Yes. Can we do it? I love it.
It's yours. We'll do it.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So yeah, they've tried, they're supposed to be all about choice, Bryan, choice for women. They do not believe in diversity of healthcare options for women. They don't. They do not want women to have access to our healthcare services. And wherever they can diminish us and try and shut us down by calling us fake clinics, suing us, whatever they can do, but it doesn't work. We just get stronger. And you want to know the best allies we have to defend us and build a wall of protection around us? The women we serve. You should see the Yelp reviews and the Google reviews and the things that they say. I went to Stanton Health Care. They are upfront about who they are. They're the most compassionate people. They helped me when I didn't have any money to take care of my kids, or I didn't know what to do, or I felt I was alone. I mean, our clients get fired up, and they come from all different backgrounds. Some of them might even consider themselves pro-choice, and some of them are, all Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, neutral on politics, pro-life, pro-choice, religious, not religious, all of them. You want to know what they all have in common? They support the work of Stanton because they've experienced it, and it's not fake. It's real and it's genuine. And that's what I listen to. I don't listen to the rhetoric of the pro-aborts. I don't listen to that chatter. I listen to the voices that really matter, Bryan.
See, I like to listen to it so I can kind of mock them on Twitter, but
well, yeah, you're so good at that's your role. That's your job. And let me tell you, I may do a little of that too. But anyway.
Great. So, and Brandi, as a woman,
Yes.
which obviously you are. Doesn't it blow your mind that this is the only issue on earth where you're able to be defined? Like no
Oh.
other issue. Yeah. Now suddenly we know what a woman is.
Oh, now women's rights
And
actually
now they
matter.
want to take away
Yeah.
they want to take away the word mother.
Yeah. No.
Like
What uterus? What was
what?
the or birthing
Uterus,
people?
birthing
U,
people,
uterus carry.
menstruating people,
Yes.
uterus owners,
Could there be
whatever it
anything more
is.
offensive? I mean, that's like
Oh my
it's
God.
offensive. It's offensive. Can I tell you? Don't ever call me a birthing person, anybody in society. Don't ever call me a menstruating person or a uterus carrying person. That is diminishing, it's objectifying, it's sexist. And I cannot believe that society is so messed up right now that they think that that's logical and somehow inclusive and respectful when it's complete. And can I tell you, Bryan, you probably know this. A lot of those hardcore kind of old school feminists, that you and I have been
They don't like it.
they hate it because they
Bette
see it.
Midler came out against it, and now they want to call her. She's one of the most liberal women on this planet, and now they're calling her transphobic.
Yeah,
because she says, "No, you're not taking away mother."
Yeah. Macy Gray just came out. Did you see Macy Gray was on her? I thought that was hysterical. I mean, she's like, you can't say just because you change your body parts that now you're somehow a woman. I mean, it's so stupid. And listen to me. I want to be inclusive. I want to be inclusive and understanding of where people are on a journey, and we should try and understand where they're coming from. But denying biology and being a science denier, and forcing all of society to embrace that is ridiculous. It is.
Can you imagine buying a Hallmark card? Happy Menstruating Person's Day.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, seriously. Like, come on, you guys. And do you know what's funny too? Like, most average Americans know this. Mainstream Americans aren't using this verbiage. They understand.
They're never going to. They're
No,
never going to.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing, a phase. It's like a phase. It's like a teenage phase that America's going through. I don't know. It's so weird. And by the way, I mean no offense to teenagers, because teenagers are a lot smarter than this.
Oh yeah. Now, okay, Brandi, I want to talk about what you guys provide and all the resources, but because a couple of weeks ago, I'm on Facebook and one of your posts pop up. You guys had a fundraiser set up to help you provide diapers, formula, which we know is so needed, all of these things. And a business, Fancy Freeze in Meridian, had reached out to you and said they wanted to help raise funds for these much needed items. And the pro-abortion people got upset. But what was worse to me is that looking at the follow-up from Fancy Freeze, they lied. And I'm just, anytime I come to Idaho, I guarantee you I'll never go there. And I know a lot of people aren't going to go there anymore. But it's like, why are they letting themselves be bullied to not raise money to provide diapers and formula and all of these things? It's like, I remember once I went to a park in Richmond, Virginia, to feed the homeless. I brought a bunch of food. The Stand True team showed up to serve, and we brought food. Awesome. And they told us, you can't serve food with us because you're pro-life. We went and set up another table on the other side of the park and did it. Yeah. And people were so happy. And I don't care if you're pro-life or pro-choice. Thank you for giving me a meal.
Yeah.
So
the way,
what are the things that they help? What are the things that they are missing out on helping you provide?
Yeah. So this is what we do as a nonprofit women's charity. We don't charge for any of our services for the women and families and children that come through our doors. So we rely heavily on community support and donations. We don't get any federal funding or state funding like Planned Parenthood does. I have to read the list because it's so long, Bryan. Early detection, lab grade pregnancy testing, pregnancy verification, limited ultrasound exams. If a woman goes just to get those 3 things at a doctor's office or Planned Parenthood, she's in, just with those, anywhere from $300 to $650. We provide that at no charge. Options counseling, abortion pill reversal, That can be as high as $1,000. We have a grant program to cover that for women. After abortion exams and support, sexual integrity program, client advocacy, massage therapy, childbirth education classes, maternity and baby supplies and prenatal vitamins, practical assistance, STD testing and treatment, referrals for OBGYN care, housing, legal advice and adoption, refugee assistance and support. We have a great program for our refugees in our community. Yeah, Bryan, I love it. It's one of the most beautiful parts of our outreach. Breast cancer screening awareness and partnership with our local mammography mobile clinics. We have them come to our Stanton Health Care locations, and we do all the advertising for them. And women can come to Stanton and go onto the mobile clinic and get mammograms. And it's a wonderful.
Which they cannot get at Planned Parenthood.
No, they get a little referral coupon. With us, we bring the mobiles actually to Stanton Health Care.
This is at no charge.
We pay for the advertising. We cover all of that.
No charge to the women.
No charge. Let's see. Well woman care, fatherhood mentoring, and our own mobile clinic, our own Stanton Health Care mobile clinic. We have a 36-foot Class A RV that's been converted into an actual medical clinic that we take out to underserved and rural communities. Okay. So in Idaho, and with centers around the nation that are like Stanton, our centers are top notch, and we make sure that women have access to our services so that any woman facing an unexpected pregnancy can have access to our healthcare at no charge. And let me tell you, Planned Parenthood doesn't do anything like this. And we are, like you said earlier, we are licensed. We have medical doctors that oversee our operations, licensed physician assistant, our director of clinical operations, licensed nurses, licensed 4-year RDMS sonographers. We don't even use ultrasound technicians. Yeah, we've done research with our attorneys. We actually have more quality accreditation, certifications, and licensing than Planned Parenthood does. And also the definition, Bryan, of a fake clinic, because we don't perform, refer, or recommend abortions. That means any ambulatory center like a foot doctor, an urgent care, any specialist doctors that don't provide abortions, they're fake clinics too, I guess, is the new standard that everybody's forced to provide. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd.
So, Brandi, we're running out of time here. I know when I saw that post, I was so upset. So I immediately went on to the Stanton Health Care website and I made a donation.
Thank you. That meant so much.
We just heard a list of what that. So for people watching me, I challenge you to check out Stanton Health Care, StantonInternational.org. And think about this. This dessert place was going to do this fundraiser.
Yeah.
And they canceled. So I'm asking you to skip a dessert this week. Doesn't have to be because it was this place, but just skip a dessert this week. Figure out what you would have spent on dessert for you and your family and make a donation to help women.
Awesome.
That's what I want to challenge everybody to do. Brandi, I appreciate you so much. I think I want to do a whole show on your refugee program. Like that to me is fascinating. I'd love to do that. Let's do it. But I'm out of time, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead, say a quick final word, and then close us in prayer.
Yes, Bryan, I have to tell you, thank you so much. You were one of the first people to call when the whole thing with Fancy Freeze broke. And I have to tell you, it's a gut punch when people pull their commitment to you and their funding because they were bullied by radical pro-aborts. So your friendship to me and to Stanton Healthcare meant the world, and that you not only reached out saying you were praying for us and supporting us, but you made that donation. And so far, Bryan, because you led the charge on that on social media, and with some of our supporters here, we've raised more than we would have had Fancy Freeze continued on. Is that amazing?
I'm not taking credit. I'm not taking that's all.
I know you're not. I know it. Glory to the Lord. But you know what? Pregnancy centers and clinics like Stanton Life Affirming Medical Clinics, we need people to stand with us more than ever. Yeah. So just like you said, people in your local area, find your pregnancy center, your Life Affirming Women's Medical Clinic, and skip a dessert, make a donation, send them an email, you support them. We need that right now because we are under tremendous attack, and we will survive this. God has our back. But Did you want me to pray?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll say a quick prayer, then I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this moment in time that we get to behold the overturning of Roe, God. And we know this is just the beginning. This is the starting line, not the finish line. Help us to always have in our hearts compassion for women that need love, care, and support, that are facing unexpected pregnancies. Let us continue to pray for the opposition that's misguided and deceived. And let us stand firm against hate-filled attacks, Lord. I thank you for Bryan Kemper and his dear heart and friendship, Lord, to me in the ministry of Stanton. I pray you bless all his viewers and continue, Lord, to give us strength in this battle, that we would glorify you in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hey guys, this has been Bryan Kemper with Brandi Swindell of Stanton International. This is Pro-Life is the New Punk Rock. Also, my new book, Pro-Life is the New Punk Rock, a little glare on it there, available at prolifeproducts.org, prolifeproducts.org. Go ahead and order that. But please consider visiting StantonInternational.org and making a donation. An amazing, amazing organization and true medical healthcare clinic. Brandi, thank you for being on. God bless everybody. See you next time.